This webinar is taking place just as the pandemic in Italy is hitting a height. The pandemic in China seems to be subsiding, but elsewhere in the world, everything is very unclear. Here in the United States, where this broadcast is being made, it looks as if we're far from the peak and trying to get test kits. We are experiencing and viewing cancellations of one conference after another. Salespeople who might be calling on flow and treat prospects are not able to travel. And even if they were, many of the flow and treat prospects are not in their offices, but at home. This is a whole new market, which we call the pandemic era market, where the reality is you may not be able to have personal contact with your clients. Coincidentally, over the last year or two, the Mellvaine company has been perfecting what it's long been involved in, which is a concept called the most profitable market. And this most profitable market program hurdles pandemic obstacles and provides the effective foundation of a business strategy to maximize success. It can be viewed as a pyramid. The Mellvaine company has a number of market reports with the size of the market for a specific type of flow or treat, a consumable or product equipment in each country and each industry. With that data, the salespeople can be advised as to what their market potential is in their particular territory for each industry and even for each client. And that's it is supplemented by databases with people and project information. In order to convince the customer that your product is the best, there has to be a formal or informal conclusion that it's the lowest total cost of ownership product. This requires knowledge of the processes and as well as the industries and variations or variables such as electricity cost in each country or area, etc. If this pyramid is climbed properly, you end up with the most profitable sales. And let's go on to talk about what is the most profitable sales. The combust flow and treat market is large with annual revenues of over 400 billion. Among the participants, there have been spectacular successes and failures. The market is technology driven. It's dynamic in terms of industries, processes, geographies, products, and innovation, all of which are changing. There are high growth markets such as single-use biopharmaceuticals, tight oil, gas, and petrochemicals, coal-fired power, indoor air purification, Asia, but certainly all over the world now with the coronavirus, water reuse, Asia and the Middle East, and IIoT and remote O&M throughout the world. A profitability forecast for each opportunity should be the foundation of the business program. The focus should then be on the most profitable opportunities given the market size and potential share. So you go from all opportunities to growth areas to superior products to the focus where your most profitable market will be obtained. So the most profitable market is that which delivers the greatest profits from the resources available. Obviously, the goal is to maximize profits, but market forecasts should be the foundation of the business strategy. Instead, they are usually treated as a peripheral tool because they don't lead you to the conclusions you need to reach. The reason is that the market forecasts typically quantify the total available market, which includes geographies and product requirements which cannot be served. The reports are customized at some expense to provide the serviceable, obtainable market, which reflects a market which can be served at some profit margin, even if meager. So this is what Mellvaine does, is add this serviceable, obtainable market wisdom to the reports that we provide. Management does not want to be chasing orders which have meager unit margins when there are opportunities with higher margins available. By creating a most profitable market program and forecast, a very valuable foundation for the whole business program is created. The most profitable market is determined by 4 factors. One is serviceable obtainable market, SOM. The foundation of the most profitable market program is the serviceable obtainable market, which is derived from the multi-client reports. Lowest total cost of ownership. Each product needs to be evaluated to determine the lowest, the cost of ownership differential to competitors. Mellvaine does provide market share data on competitors and insights as to why the larger competitors have gained market share. And from all this, their total cost of ownership and the client total cost of ownership can be compared and determined, and the client can then determine where he has the lowest total cost of ownership. A route needs to be determined for the lowest total cost of ownership validation. That's LTCOV. Market share, a determination can then be made as to the market share which can be achieved at various profit margins for each product. The most profitable market, the various product, industry, and geographic options are evaluated in terms of the margins and market share which can be obtained. The most profitable selections are then made based on resources available. The serviceable obtainable market is extracted from the total available market. Many market reports that Mellvaine produces have much more segmentation than is typical. Selected segments of the TAM can then be leveraged to create the SOM. SOM includes low margin opportunities at profit margins which are not high enough to be considered. Profit margins can be varied to increase or decrease market share. The SOM is an aggregate of products and industries and geographies. So the Mellvaine multi-client reports include those in air, which are divided into indoor air, external air. Separate reports are available for each pollutant, including particulate, fabric filter, precipitator, gases such as scrubbers, FGD, DNOx, and thermal oxidation. There's a lot of emphasis on our indoor air activities presently, and we are even getting into the filtration through masks for the coronavirus and room air purifiers and the HVAC filtration to ensure the viruses are captured. In the water area, you've got ultra-pure water, water treatment chemicals, and multiple reports on various different hardware and consumables, including liquid macro filtration, sedimentation, centrifugation, cartridges, cross-flow filtration. Flow control is divided into valves, pumps, automation, and instrumentation, with a big emphasis also on air pollution monitoring, which is moving at a record pace to also record a number of contaminants in the ambient air on an economic basis. Clean rooms is another big area. Biopharmaceutical clean rooms are growing at a rapid rate. So we look at the consumables and hardware. Other reports on energy include one on oil, gas refining, and another on fossil-fired power, and others on nuclear, renewable, and biofuels. There are special reports available on a number of other subjects, including compressors, manufactured frac sand plants, lithium mining, single-use biopharmaceuticals, coupling, ballast water treatment, site remediation, and oil field chemicals. The lowest total cost of ownership is based on lower production and maintenance and operation and performance costs. The aggregation of products, industries, geographies, and individual purchasers needs to be evaluated in terms of the lowest total cost of ownership. This cost varies depending on whether the product is high performance or general performance. A high performance product is in severe or critical service. These products are generally purchased based on life cycle costs and not initial price. A general performance product is likely to be purchased based on price or convenience. The initial price plays a big role in total cost of ownership. Determining the TCO requires knowledge of industries and processes, as well as the anticipated performance of the product in the various circumstances. Ascertaining the lowest total cost of ownership entails an analysis of the competitive products. There are also external costs such as distribution and benefits such as supply of multi-product packages or even total solutions. And you have to look at the full cycle from materials to assembly, repairs, maintenance, results, and reliability. It's one thing to determine that you have the lowest total cost of ownership. It's another thing to validate it. And by validating it, we mean convincing the decision makers. For this task, the supplier is equivalent to the lawyer making a case to a jury. The other side will be making their arguments to counter the supplier. The process is sequential and continuous. The process is made by multimedia, websites, magazine articles, conference speeches, and in person. And it's, however, flexible. So in a time such as we're undertaking now in a pandemic, the webinars and other virtual media can be used to convince the customer of the lowest total cost. And it has to be based on accepted variables, process variables, labor, downtime, energy, and other costs. Subject matter expert testimony is more convincing if the expert has a body of evidence to support his conclusion. So a good lawyer assembles all the evidence and presents his case in such a way to support his assertions. So Mellvaine can help create analyses that show the lower total cost of ownership. And the client can also encourage subject matter experts to spend more time in the targeted area, and with decision guides become the subject matter ultra experts. There is a huge amount of available information on every flow and treat customer of any size in the world, and therefore the potential purchases by each one of the major purchases is economically possible. And for instance, 550 purchasers buy 60% of all the combust, float, and treat products and services. And this includes 40 chemical companies, 15 electronics companies, some food and metal companies, mining, 50 oil and gas companies, just 30 pharmaceutical companies, only 70 power companies, with about 15 of the power companies accounting for most of the purchases. Pulp and paper, 50 companies, refineries, stone, waste, water and wastewater, 50 companies in the compilation that reaches the 60%, but they're a relatively small percentage of the total because there are thousands of wastewater companies, but there are some big ones. So the MPM market program is most effective if the largest individual purchasers are included, and the big potential is to sell multi-product packages and to provide total solutions. The MPM forecasts for each plant are also produced cost effectively. These 550 companies operate 10,000 plants, but the MPM for the individual plants is important in terms of service and purchase of general performance products. Most CFT purchasers have environmental emissions as well as safety issues, resulting in the availability of detailed government information. Production of power in megawatt hours, tons of iron, ethylene, or pulp can all be determined, and accurate, most profitable market forecasts made. 95% of the purchases are made for existing plants, whether it's a replacement or an expansion. The purchase of high performance products can be anticipated months or years in advance. Sales leads are not the route to selling high performance products. Mellvaine maintains plan and project databases for many industries. Moving forward with an MPM program, you can start with one Mellvaine report identifying the SOM and proceed with the lowest hanging fruit. And the program can be the foundation of the business strategy, but one step at a time. One Mellvaine multi-client report with SOM and evidence availability can be purchased as the first step. An initial consulting assignment can establish the lowest hanging fruit and the basis for the LTCO analysis. A larger consulting contract will determine the MPM for a product in the selected industries. The program can be extended to the full range of products within a division. Collaboration with other divisions, including cost sharing, then can be implemented. Full use for R&D, production, and sales can then be undertaken. Full implementation results in a bottoms-up program with participation from everyone from the local salesman up through the CEO. More information is available on the Mellvaine website. There's a whole link on markets, another one on databases, another link on people. These are at the top of the homepage. And then some of the other aspects are also linked. We are available to answer any of the questions. As you can see here, this is I'm Bob Mellvaine, and this is where you can reach me at, actually that number has changed now, it's 0013, and the cell number is correct, 847-226-2391. Thank you for your attention today.